They tell you to chase love, to pour your soul into the arms of another, to find completion in someone else's gaze. But understand this: love, when pursued, is dependency. It is vulnerability painted in warm colors. It is a leash tied around your neck, held in the trembling hands of someone who can drop you, betray you, or use you the moment it serves them. When you seek love, you place your worth outside of yourself. You become a beggar of affection. And beggars are never respected. The man who craves love bends, kneels, compromises. He becomes soft clay, molded by the expectations of others. But the man who demands respect, he does not kneel. He builds himself into stone, sharp-edged and unyielding. Love asks for sacrifice. Respect enforces recognition. Love may fade, but respect endures. Respect creates fear in your enemies, loyalty in your allies, and silence in those who dare question your presence. From this moment forward, you must burn that leash of need. Tear it from your throat and forge steel in its place. Learn to walk into rooms not with a plea for affection, but with an aura that demands acknowledgement. Respect is not a gift. Respect is seized. It is extracted from the world by power, by presence, by unwavering command. If these words strike something deep inside you, something primal, then prove it. Declare it publicly. Comment this phrase right now: respect over everything. That declaration is your first step to becoming untouchable, your first strike against weakness. Number 1, why respect is power. Listen carefully. Respect is the currency of survival. Power without respect collapses. Wealth without respect is stolen. Even love without respect rots into contempt. Respect is the foundation upon which every empire stands. Without it, you are just another disposable man, tolerated until you're no longer useful. With it, you become untouchable. You become a force others cannot ignore, cannot dismiss, cannot destroy. They fear disappointing you. They hesitate before crossing you. They measure their words in your presence because they feel the weight of who you are. Respect rewrites the rules of every interaction. A man respected does not beg. He dictates. He does not chase. He attracts. He does not bend. He sets the boundaries, and the world conforms. Understand this truth. It is better to be respected than to be loved. Because love without respect turns to resentment. But respect, whether born of admiration or fear, endures. Machiavelli himself knew it. It is much safer to be feared than loved. Cold, brutal, real. That is the truth you must embrace. If you're hearing this and it clicks like a blade locking into place, then etch it into your mind and into the comments. Power demands respect. Let me see those words flood below, because only those who claim respect will ever hold it. Number 2, the trap of validation. Validation is the drug they designed to enslave you. Society, the weak, the manipulators, all of them want you chained to the need for approval. Every system, every platform, every relationship is engineered to keep you starving for recognition like a man dying of thirst in the desert. They want you begging for likes, begging for attention, begging for acceptance, and every time you do, every time you swallow the bait, you trade power for comfort. Validation is a drug, and most men are addicts. The world supplies the hit, through a smile, through praise, through applause, and you take it like it means life or death. You become hooked, enslaved, needing more and more to feel alive. But here's the truth you've avoided. The man who craves validation has already lost. He has no sovereignty, no fortress inside himself. His mood, his self-worth, his very identity depend on external approval. Do you see the prison? It's invisible, but it's ironclad. You wake up each day wondering, will they like me? Will they notice me? Will they approve? Every decision you make is bent toward earning applause, and slowly, piece by piece, you are no longer a man. You are a puppet. The strings are invisible, but they're there, tugged by anyone who offers you recognition. The women you pursue, the friends you keep, the strangers online, all of them become your masters, and you just another pawn, bleeding out your dignity for scraps. Machiavelli warned against this centuries ago. He knew the weakness of a man who placed his power in the hands of others. Such a man is unstable, easily swayed, easily broken. Because what happens when the praise stops? What happens when the crowd turns against you? Without validation, you collapse. Your confidence rots. You scramble, desperate to find it again, like a beggar digging through ashes for a last meal. That is not strength. That is dependency. That is slavery. True power lies in detachment. It lies in cutting yourself free from the need to be validated. You must become a man who does not bend for applause, who does not wither under criticism, who does not measure his worth by the reactions of others. You must be a fortress, unmoved, whether the world cheers or curses. Because here's the cold reality: the world will do both. They will praise you one day, and they will spit on you the next. If your value is tethered to their voices, you will rise and fall like a leaf in the wind. You must learn to exist without applause, to stand in silence and feel no emptiness, to operate in the shadows and feel no insecurity, to walk through this life with an iron spine, whether no one sees you or whether everyone sees you. Because when you no longer need validation, you become dangerous, untouchable. The opinions of others cannot touch a man who defines himself. Think of the strongest men in history. Think of leaders, conquerors, philosophers. Do you think they sought approval? Do you think Caesar asked Rome for permission to command? Do you think Alexander craved validation before taking the world? They acted, they enforced, they demanded recognition through power, not through pleading. Even when hated, they stood unmoved because they did not need the world to clap. They only needed the world to obey. Now look at your own life. Where do you give away your power for validation? Is it in the smile you chase from women? Is it in the approval you beg from bosses, friends, strangers online? Wherever it is, understand this: every ounce of validation you seek is another ounce of power you surrender. You weaken yourself with every nod you crave. Stop, cut it off. Train yourself to move in silence, to act for yourself, not for applause, to speak, not to be heard, but because your words carry weight, whether they echo or not. To build, not to be praised, but because what you build cannot be ignored. This is how you become untouchable. And here's the test. It's simple, but it's everything. Say it out loud right now, and then write it in the comments below. I validate myself. 3 words. But those words are chains breaking. They are the declaration of sovereignty. They are the moment you stop being a pawn and start being a player. Say it again. I validate myself. The crowd does not define you. The applause does not crown you. The hate does not break you. You are your own source, your own fire, your own fortress. This is how respect begins, by no longer needing anyone else's permission to exist in power. When you embody this, the world changes. People will sense it. They will feel the shift. They will treat you differently because they cannot manipulate you anymore. They cannot dangle attention over your head like bait. They cannot control you with praise or cut you with silence. They will realize, perhaps too late, that you are not seeking anything from them, and that makes them respect you. That makes them fear losing you. That makes them follow you. This is the Machiavellian truth. Stop craving love. Stop begging for validation. Demand respect. Command presence. And let the world know they cannot touch you. Now prove you understand. Prove you heard this. Type it. Carve it into stone in the comments. I validate myself. Do it now. Number 3. Fear, respect, and control. Respect is born only where fear exists. Until people believe there are consequences for crossing you, their respect is hollow, cheap words, empty gestures, shallow courtesy. This is not opinion. This is not theory. This is law. Older than kings, older than empires, older than civilization itself. Every throne, every dynasty that has endured was built on a single principle. The world must believe there is a price for disrespect. If you forgive without consequence, they will use you. If you tolerate disrespect, they will multiply it. If you give away your boundaries cheaply, you will be trampled. And once you've been trampled, once the world sees you accept humiliation without striking back, you will never recover the respect you lost. It is like blood in the water. Once spilled, it draws predators. Fear and respect are not opposites. They are allies. They walk together like shadow and flame. Respect without fear is fragile. It eventually slips into mockery because people grow comfortable pushing your limits. Fear without respect is volatile. It breeds hatred and rebellion. But the combination of both, that is unshakable power. When people respect you, they obey willingly. When they fear you, they hesitate before betrayal. When you fuse the two, you become untouchable. Machiavelli knew this truth. That is why he declared it safer to be feared than loved. Love fades. Love changes. Love is conditional. But fear endures. A man may stop loving you, but he will never forget the cost of crossing you, and that memory keeps him in line long after affection has died. Understand, control is not about dominating others for the sake of ego. It is about creating stability. A man respected and feared does not need to constantly fight for his place. His reputation fights for him. His silence becomes heavy. His stare commands caution. His very presence disciplines the room. The weak scramble to prove themselves. The wise measure their words. And those foolish enough to test him learn quickly why others stay silent. Control, when mastered, is not loud. It is not frantic. It is subtle, precise, and absolute. The untouchable man does not need to bark commands. He does not need to explain himself. His aura enforces boundaries before a single word is spoken. His standards are felt, not negotiated. Now look at your own life with brutal honesty. Where are you allowing disrespect without consequence? Where do people speak over you, dismiss you, or treat your presence as irrelevant? Maybe it's in relationships, where you tolerate neglect, mockery, or constant testing. Maybe it's at work, where colleagues take advantage of your silence. Maybe it's in friendships, where you're the one always giving, never receiving. Wherever it is, know this: every time you swallow disrespect, you weaken your position. Power does not collapse in one dramatic fall. It decays slowly, corroded by your silence, by your tolerance of small slights. But when you enforce consequences immediately, respect hardens around you like steel. When someone crosses your boundary and you respond with precision, cutting them off, withdrawing access, showing restraint but not weakness, they remember, they feel it, and they do not forget. Power is not maintained by begging or pleading. Power is maintained by boundaries carved in stone and guarded with fire. This does not mean you must be cruel without reason. Cruelty for the sake of cruelty is chaos, and chaos eventually destroys itself. Number. Your power must be deliberate. Your consequences must be calculated. Let them learn, once and only once, that disrespect costs more than they can afford. That lesson will echo louder than 1,000 words ever could. The truth is brutal but necessary. You cannot make everyone like you, nor should you want to. To be liked by all is to stand for nothing, but you can make everyone respect you, and if they don't, you cut them off without hesitation. You withdraw your time, your energy, your presence, because nothing terrifies people more than realizing you are gone and they cannot replace you. Think about this carefully. A man who loves you might betray you if it benefits him. A man who fears losing you will fight to keep you close. That is the difference. That is why Machiavelli chose fear. That is why fear, combined with respect, becomes the ultimate form of control. So here is the creed you must etch into your mind, your blood, your actions. Respect is my shield. Fear is my sword. Respect protects you. It surrounds you with an aura no one dares to puncture. Fear arms you. It ensures hesitation, ensures caution, ensures obedience. Together they build a fortress no one can breach. Now write it. Not just in your thoughts, not just in silence. Prove you claim this truth. Declare it publicly in the comments. Respect is my shield. "Fear is my sword." That phrase is not poetry, it is a weapon. It is the blueprint of control. And once you understand it, once you embrace it, you will never again be weak, never again be ignored, never again be disposable. From this moment, you are no longer chasing love, no longer chasing approval. You are commanding respect, wielding fear, and mastering control. The rest of the world, they will adjust. Number 4, detachment and emotional control. Emotions are the easiest chains to wear. Anger, lust, sadness, guilt, hope. Each one is a lever waiting to be pulled, a handle waiting to be twisted. Lose control of them, and you lose control of yourself. The man who cannot master his emotions is no master at all. He is a puppet. His strings are invisible, but anyone who understands them can tug, pull, and make him dance. Understand this truth. The one who owns your emotions owns you. If a woman can provoke your jealousy, she owns your peace. If a rival can spark your rage, he owns your decision-making. If society can make you desperate for approval, it owns your sense of worth. Every time you let emotion rule, you hand your leash to someone else. And once they know where to pull, they will pull forever. Detachment is the cure. Emotional control is the weapon. When you detach, you break the strings. You move like stone, calm, measured, untouchable. They insult you, you don't flinch. They ignore you, you don't beg. They try to provoke you into losing composure. You stay silent, watching, calculating. That silence cuts deeper than 1,000 words. It unsettles them because people expect reaction. They crave it. They feed on it. When you deny it, they feel powerless. And nothing frightens a manipulator more than realizing their tricks no longer work. This does not mean becoming numb or lifeless. Stoicism is not emptiness. It is mastery. It is not the absence of emotions. It is the command of them. Anger is no longer an outburst. It becomes discipline. Desire is no longer weakness. It becomes drive. Pain is no longer suffering. It becomes fuel. Every emotion, once mastered, is transformed into raw power. Think of fire. Uncontrolled, it burns the forest down. Controlled, it forges steel. Your emotions are the same. Unchecked, they destroy you. Mastered, they harden you. Detach from outcomes. Detach from approval. Detach from the uncontrollable. Focus only on what you can move, what you can build, what you can enforce. When you stop caring about things outside your control, you stop bleeding energy into the void, and suddenly you are free. That is the Stoic blade, cold, sharp, precise. While the masses waste themselves in emotional chaos, you remain steady, focused, relentless. Picture two men in battle. One is fueled by uncontrolled rage, swinging wildly, blind to strategy, drunk on emotion. The other is calm, detached, patient. He observes, he calculates, he waits. Which one survives? Which one wins? Always the man who controls himself. Because wars are not won by those who burn hottest. They are won by those who burn longest. Detachment keeps the fire contained, keeps it sharp, keeps it useful. Here's a cold truth. When you no longer react, you dictate. You set the tempo. You control the battlefield. The world begins to orbit around you because you no longer chase, no longer beg, no longer bend. You become the unmoving center, the eye of the storm. And from that stillness, you hold true power. Look around your life and see how often you've been manipulated. How often did anger make you say something you regretted? How often did lust blind you to deception? How often did sadness make you crawl back to those who didn't deserve you? Every one of those moments was proof of lost control, proof that someone else had the strings. But from this moment forward, no more. No one touches the strings. You cut them, you burn them, you walk untethered. But make no mistake, this path is difficult because detachment requires discipline. It means resisting the instant gratification of emotional release. It means holding your tongue when you want to lash out. It means staying calm when your ego screams for attention. But this difficulty is the price of power. Weak men are cheap. Strong men are forged. And forging is always painful. Emotional control doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you feel everything and still command yourself. It means you experience temptation, rage, despair, desire, and instead of being ruled by them, you rule them. You redirect them like rivers into a dam, generating power, not chaos. That is why the detached man is feared, because he cannot be baited, cannot be broken, cannot be played. His enemies waste themselves trying to provoke him while he waits, and when he moves, it is decisive, unstoppable, final. The man who can master his emotions is invincible. His enemies cannot predict him. His rivals cannot bait him. His lovers cannot manipulate him. Society cannot enslave him. He becomes untouchable, not because the world is easier, but because he is harder. So here is your command. Say it now, write it below, carve it into your creed. I am unmoved. I am untouchable. Those words are not empty. They are a declaration of war against weakness. They are the chains breaking. They are the line in the sand. Speak them and mean them, because the day you stop being ruled by emotion is the day you start ruling everything else. Number 5. Building the aura of power. Power is felt before it is seen. Before a word leaves your mouth, before you even sit down, others are already measuring you. They are reading your posture, your silence, your eyes. This is the battlefield most men ignore, the invisible war of presence. And here's the cold truth. If your aura doesn't strike first, you've already lost. The aura of power is not about flash. It is not about wearing the loudest clothes, flexing wealth, or forcing attention. Those are tricks of the insecure, desperate men who scream for recognition. Real power does not beg to be noticed, it commands it. The aura is subtle, it's quiet, it's heavy, it changes the air in a room without effort. People feel it even if they can't name it. That is what makes it unshakable. But this aura is not gifted, it is forged. And forging requires fire. It comes from restraint, from composure, from discipline carved into your bones. Every move you make, every word you release, every silence you hold, these shape your presence. The world is always watching. The weak man betrays himself constantly. He fidgets, he laughs nervously, he rushes to fill silence, he explains too much. His aura collapses because it reveals need. But the untouchable man does the opposite. He withholds, he slows down, he speaks less, but means more. His aura expands precisely because it is scarce. Machiavelli wrote that people judge more by what they see than what they touch. Perception rules. And here lies the edge. If you appear composed, you are perceived as powerful, even before you prove it. If you appear frantic, desperate, or reactive, you are perceived as weak, even if you have ability. Power is as much theater as it is reality. Learn to master both. So how do you craft this aura? Start with your body. Stillness radiates control. Do not twitch. Do not scramble. Do not chase movement like a nervous animal. Slow your gestures. Hold your ground. Look deliberately, not constantly. Presence begins with restraint. Next, refine your voice. Speak less, but cut deeper. Do not waste oxygen on filler. Do not chase approval with endless explanation. Every sentence should land like a blade, measured, precise, final. Finally, embrace silence. Weak men suffocate in silence. They scramble to fill it because silence reveals their insecurity. But silence in your hands becomes a weapon. Let it linger. Let others feel the tension. In that space, they will reveal themselves while you reveal nothing. This is how the aura grows. Through composure, through scarcity, through mastery. It does not roar, it smolders. And people feel its heat even if you never raise your voice. The aura is not arrogance. Arrogance is loud. Aura is quiet. Arrogance leaks insecurity. Aura conceals and constrains. It is the difference between an actor pretending to be a king and a ruler who doesn't need to prove he is one. An aura of power makes people self-regulate around you. They measure their words before they speak. They adjust their tone. They hesitate before they cross. They can't explain why, but something in them whispers, "Be careful with him." That whisper is more effective than any command. It creates obedience without orders. It generates loyalty without begging. It enforces boundaries without confrontation. That is the advantage of aura. It makes power effortless, but aura cannot be built on lies. You cannot fake it indefinitely. Eventually the cracks will show, and once they do, your illusion collapses. Aura must be rooted in truth, discipline, self-respect, mastery over your emotions and impulses. If you cannot govern yourself, no presence will save you. But once you master yourself, your aura becomes undeniable. It will carry into every interaction, every relationship, every battlefield of life. Now, picture two men. One enters a room loud, flailing for attention, making jokes, desperate to be liked. The other enters quietly, says little, but his eyes cut through the noise. His composure unsettles. His silence demands curiosity. Who do they respect more? Always the second. The aura is not about volume, it is about gravity. The man who radiates mystery will always attract more weight than the man who spends his energy trying to be seen. So here is the command. Stop chasing recognition. Stop proving yourself. Build yourself. Discipline yourself. Respect yourself. And let the aura radiate naturally. Because once your aura is real, people will sense it without you saying a word. They will bow inwardly, even if they smile outwardly. Now, declare it publicly. Burn it into the comments below. Claim it with certainty. My presence is power, not just a phrase, but a weapon, a standard, a new identity. The aura you build today will shape the respect you command tomorrow. And once your presence becomes power, you never need to chase again. Number 6. Ruthless self-discipline. Power rots without discipline. You can be intelligent, ambitious, even feared, but if you cannot command yourself, you will eventually fall. History is littered with kings, generals, and leaders who built empires only to be destroyed by their own indulgence. Rome did not collapse because its armies were weak. It collapsed because its men became addicted to comfort, gluttony, and distraction. Understand this: the man who cannot rule himself cannot rule anything else. Self-discipline is the throne you sit on. Without it, you are a beggar, wrapped in illusions. With it, you are sovereign, even if you own nothing else. Discipline is the quiet power that separates the untouchable from the ordinary. It is not glamorous. It is not loud. It does not make you feel good in the moment. It cuts. It burns. It strips away your excuses and lays your weakness bare. But it is the foundation of every empire, inner or outer. Machiavelli wrote of fortune as a woman, wild, unpredictable, dangerous. But he also wrote that fortune favors the disciplined man, because discipline makes him steady when chaos strikes. Discipline keeps you sharp when others go soft. Discipline makes you ready when others are unprepared. Discipline keeps you alive when others fall. Look at the world today. Most men are slaves to indulgence, slaves to comfort, slaves to distraction. They wake up and feed themselves sugar, dopamine, pornography, endless entertainment. They scroll until their minds rot. They drink, they gorge, they waste. Then they wonder why no one respects them, why no one fears them, why they feel invisible. The answer is simple: because they lack discipline. They cannot even control themselves, and a man who cannot control himself is beneath contempt. You must become ruthless with yourself. No compromise, no softness. Ruthless with your habits, ruthless with your body, ruthless with your mind. Comfort is the silent killer of men. The more comfort you allow, the softer you become. The softer you become, the easier you are to control. And once the world knows you can be controlled, you are finished. Discipline is not about punishment, it is about power. Every time you deny yourself the easy path, you carve strength into your character. Every time you rise when you'd rather sleep, you forge endurance. Every time you refuse temptation, you sharpen your will. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now. It is saying no to indulgence, to laziness, to weakness, not because anyone else commands it, but because you command yourself. The disciplined man terrifies others because he cannot be bribed by comfort, distracted by pleasure, or broken by fatigue. He is consistent. He is relentless. he is dangerous. This is why armies obey the disciplined general. This is why kingdoms endure under disciplined rulers. And this is why individuals who master themselves radiate an aura that others cannot ignore. Respect is magnetized to them because they embody the one trait the masses lack: control. Think of Alexander. Think of Caesar. Think of any figure who bent the world. None of them would have achieved their conquests if they surrendered to distraction. Their discipline kept them sharp, focused, driven, and yet even some of them fell because they forgot their own lesson. Indulgence killed more rulers than enemy swords. Remember that. Write it on your walls if you must. Discipline is not just about what you do. It is about what you refuse. Refusing the weakness of indulgence, refusing the poison of laziness, refusing the mediocrity that swallows most men whole. To live without discipline is to live like cattle, herded, controlled, slaughtered. To live with discipline is to live like a ruler, commanding yourself first and the world second. But here's the brutal truth. Discipline hurts. It is not supposed to feel good. It is supposed to feel like war. Because it is war. A war against your lower self. A war against weakness. A war against the easy path that seduces every man into mediocrity. You cannot negotiate with weakness. You must destroy it daily. Every time you choose the hard thing, every time you push when your body screams to stop, every time you endure when others quit, you are killing weakness and replacing it with power. This is why discipline is the crown. It sits on your head silently, without needing approval, without needing validation. Others will see it and respect you instinctively because they cannot fake it themselves. You cannot buy discipline. You cannot inherit it. You can only earn it day after day, choice after choice, war after war. And once you wear it, no one can take it from you. So understand me clearly. Without discipline, everything else is hollow. Aura collapses, respect evaporates, fear fades, power crumbles. But with discipline, you can lose everything, wealth, status, even allies, and still rebuild because your foundation is unbreakable. Now, carve this into your identity. Say it aloud. Write it in the comments. Make it the standard of your existence. Discipline is my crown. That phrase is not motivation, it is command. A crown is not given, it is seized, it is worn, it is defended. Let those words remind you daily that self-discipline is not an option, it is the throne of your sovereignty. Section 8. Strategic isolation and selective alliances. Isolation sharpens the blade. Most men drown in noise, too many voices, too many opinions, too many distractions. They fear solitude, so they surround themselves with mediocrity. They cling to company not because it elevates them, but because silence terrifies them. But here's the cold truth. Solitude is not weakness. Solitude is where clarity is forged. It is where strength is built. When you can stand alone, unmoved, unbothered, unneeding, you become immune to the chains that bind ordinary men. But understand this distinction. Permanent isolation is not power, it is vulnerability. No empire was ever built by one man alone. No ruler holds a kingdom without alliances. The Machiavellian path is not hermit-like withdrawal, it is strategic isolation. You withdraw when necessary, not to hide, but to harden. You retreat not out of fear, but out of calculation. You isolate to sharpen your mind, to discipline your body, to strengthen your spirit. And then, when you emerge, you are sharper, colder, and infinitely more dangerous. Strategic isolation means you pull away from weak influences. You silence the endless chatter of fools. You separate yourself from those who leech your time, drain your energy, or infect your mind with mediocrity. You reject the addiction of constant company. You teach yourself to sit in silence and feel no lack. Because once you are comfortable with your own presence, no one else's presence can control you. But once you have hardened yourself, alliances become necessary. Not desperate, needy alliances, but selective alliances. The difference is everything. Most men build alliances from weakness. They cling to anyone who accepts them, surround themselves with whoever will listen, and call them friends. These alliances destroy men because they are built on need, not power. When weakness bonds with weakness, the result is only decay. Selective alliances, however, are forged like steel. They are chosen with precision, with calculation, with the same cold care a king chooses his generals. You align only with those who elevate you, those who sharpen you, those whose presence adds to your power rather than drains it. Everyone else, no matter how long you've known them, no matter how much they plead, no matter the sentiment, you cut away, because weakness is contagious. And if you lack the coldness to cut the wrong ones out, you will bleed for their mistakes. Machiavelli wrote that men are either to be crushed or courted. There is no middle ground. The same applies to alliances. Those you cannot trust, you remove. Those you trust, you cultivate. But you never confuse trust with naivety. Even your closest allies can betray you if fortune shifts. That is why the Machiavellian ruler never binds himself too tightly to any one person. He chooses alliances like tools, valuable but replaceable if broken. This is not cruelty. This is survival. Look through history. Julius Caesar fell not because he lacked power, but because he misjudged his alliances. Surrounded by senators he thought he could manage, he ignored the daggers behind their smiles. Alexander the Great burned brightest when he stood alone in vision, but even he needed loyal generals to carry that vision into battle. Napoleon rose through ruthless self-belief, but he too relied on alliances and fell when they betrayed him. The lesson is clear. Alliances can build empires, but the wrong alliances can destroy them. The man who is untouchable lives by two laws. He can stand alone, and he chooses carefully when he does not. He withdraws when necessary, to rebuild, to sharpen, to master himself. Then he steps back into the world and chooses his allies with surgical precision, not for comfort, not for companionship, for strength, for strategy, for shared ambition. You must begin to examine your circle with a ruthless eye. Who elevates you? Who drains you? Who sharpens you? Who weakens you? And most importantly, who would betray you if it benefited them? Do not be naive. If someone drains you, cut them off. If someone weakens you, remove them. If someone poisons your focus, exile them. Strategic isolation makes you strong. Selective alliances make you unstoppable. But tolerance of mediocrity will kill you. This path is not easy. Cutting people off feels cruel. Choosing alliances with cold calculation feels harsh. But harshness is survival. The man who fears being alone becomes weak. The man who surrounds himself with fools becomes blind. But the man who can walk alone and still choose allies wisely becomes unshakable. So here is your creed, your standard, your line in the sand. I walk alone. I choose who follows. Say it aloud. Write it below in the comments. Let it be the oath that guides how you deal with others. Because once you embrace strategic isolation and selective alliances, you will no longer be chained by need. You will no longer be weakened by mediocrity. You will be untouchable because you stand sovereign in solitude and surround yourself only with power. Number 8, turning pain into power. Pain is the rawest currency of strength. Every scar, every betrayal, every failure, every loss, it is the tax life charges men for existing. Weak men waste this currency. They cry out, they beg for comfort, they drown in self-pity and wonder why the world strips them of respect. But strong men convert pain into power. They understand that suffering is not the end, it is the forge. Every empire in history was born from suffering. Rome rose out of endless wars. Alexander carved his path through brutal trials. Greatness does not emerge from comfort. It is hammered out of fire, pressure, and loss. Machiavelli himself knew this truth. Men who endure hardship become ruthless, calculating, and unstoppable. Men who avoid hardship become fragile, soft, and disposable. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is your teacher. It strips away illusions. It destroys fantasy. It reveals who you are when everything is taken from you. Most men hide from this mirror. They run from suffering, medicate it with distractions, or numb themselves with comfort. But in doing so, they throw away the one resource that could make them untouchable. Pain is the most honest tutor you will ever have. Think about betrayal. The first time someone close to you stabs you in the back, you feel rage, despair, humiliation. But if you are strong, you learn. You sharpen your distrust. You learn to watch actions, not words. You learn to calculate loyalty, to test people, to guard your throne. Betrayal then becomes your shield. It no longer weakens you, it hardens you. Think about loss. When you lose something you thought you could not live without, it carves hunger into your bones. Weak men collapse. They let the emptiness consume them. Strong men, they use that hunger to drive them, to build more, to take more, to ensure they never starve again. Loss becomes the engine of ambition. Think about failure. Failure humiliates the weak, makes them quit, convinces them they are not capable. But to the disciplined, failure is instruction. Every mistake becomes a blueprint. Every collapse becomes a lesson. Failure is not the end, it is feedback, and feedback, when absorbed without ego, turns into unstoppable strategy. The man who embraces pain is feared because he cannot be broken by it. Throw him into betrayal, he adapts. Throw him into loss, he hungers. Throw him into failure, he learns. Every attempt to destroy him only makes him more dangerous. That is the essence of cold power, to take suffering and turn it back on the world as strength. Do not run from pain. Do not beg others to ease it. Do not medicate it with distractions that dull your edge. Sit with it. Stare into it. Break it down. Ask yourself, what is this pain teaching me? How can I weaponize it? Then act. Turn betrayal into sharper instincts. Turn heartbreak into discipline. Turn humiliation into hunger. Pain becomes power the moment you decide it will no longer weaken you. This does not mean pain disappears. It never does. It lingers. But in your hands, it transforms. What once broke you now fuels you. What once humiliated you now motivates you. Pain becomes the shadow walking behind you, reminding you of the cost of weakness, and that reminder keeps you sharp long after others have gone soft. Look at the men around you. Most of them live to avoid pain. They structure their lives around comfort. They bend their backs to avoid suffering. And yet, ironically, they suffer more than anyone. Because comfort breeds weakness, and weakness invites defeat. By running from pain, they run straight into mediocrity. You cannot escape pain. It is built into existence, but you can choose your relationship to it. Weak men fear it. Strong men embrace it. The untouchable man converts it. That is the divide. That is the truth. So here is your command. Stop fearing suffering. Stop begging for relief. Start using it. The next time you are betrayed, say to yourself, "Good, now I see more clearly." The next time you lose, say, "Good, now I am hungrier." The next time you fail, say, "Good, now I have learned." This mindset turns you into a weapon the world cannot dull. Now prove you understand. Burn this oath into your blood and into the comments below. My pain is my power. Say it, write it, claim it. Because the moment you embrace suffering instead of fleeing it, you stop being breakable. You stop being a victim. You stop being ordinary. Pain becomes your ally, your fuel, your crown. And when your pain becomes your power, you rise above weakness. You become untouchable. Number 9, becoming untouchable. Untouchable is not a word, it is a state of being. It is the apex of power. It is when nothing outside of you, no betrayal, no loss, no temptation, no fear, can break you or control you. The untouchable man is not just strong, he is sovereign. He does not bend for affection. He does not chase applause. He does not crumble under pressure. He stands while others fall. To reach this state, you must weave everything we have spoken of into a single armor. You must stop seeking love and begin demanding respect. You must understand that fear is the backbone of authority. You must master your emotions until you are unmoved by praise or insult. You must embrace ruthless discipline, cutting off every comfort that softens your edge. You must practice strategic isolation, strengthening in solitude, and return only to form selective alliances with those who sharpen you. And you must take every ounce of pain, every betrayal, every scar, every failure, and convert it into power. When all of these are fused together, you transcend. You stop being ordinary, you stop being breakable, you become untouchable. The untouchable man is rare because his path is merciless. He gives up the comforts that others live for. He does not need validation. He does not need to be understood. He does not need to be loved. His validation is internal. His mission is self-set. His respect comes from his own reflection. And because of this, the world cannot move him. Imagine this man entering a room. He does not rush to speak. He does not compete for attention. His silence is heavier than their words. His presence unsettles because it forces others to measure themselves against him. They feel the weight of his self-command, and instinctively, they respect him. They may envy him. They may even hate him, but they cannot ignore him. That is the aura of the untouchable. And yet, understand this, freedom has a price. You will be hated for your strength. You will be envied for your discipline. You will be tested endlessly because your very existence exposes the mediocrity of others. The weak will try to drag you back into weakness. They will mock you, slander you, tempt you, guilt you. They will tell you that you are cold, arrogant, heartless. Let them speak. Their words mean nothing. Their noise is proof that you stand above them. The untouchable man is unmoved. He knows that the more resistance he faces, the clearer the signal of his power. The world respects results, and the untouchable man delivers them, not because he is lucky, not because he is chosen, but because he has forged himself in fire. He has sacrificed what others cling to. He has endured what others fear. He has built discipline where others have built excuses. And so, when life tests him, he does not fall. He does not break. He does not crawl back, begging for comfort. He endures. He adapts. He conquers. This is why becoming untouchable is the highest goal. Because once you reach this state, you cannot be manipulated. You cannot be bribed with pleasure. You cannot be weakened by suffering. You cannot be controlled by love, nor broken by hate. You stand sovereign, and the world is forced to bend. But here's the truth most won't admit. Becoming untouchable is not for everyone. Most men will never achieve it. They will settle for comfort. They will drown in distraction. They will trade their sovereignty for the cheap warmth of validation. But you, if you've listened this far, you know you are not meant to be like them. You feel it, you crave it, you are ready to step into that state. So, here is your final creed. Write it into the comments. Declare it publicly. Make it your oath. I am untouchable. Those words are not just affirmation. They are declaration. They are the first brick in the fortress you are building around your soul. Speak them, write them, and live them, because the world will try to touch you, to break you, to control you. And your mission from this day forward is to prove them all wrong. If these words have struck you, if they have sharpened you, if they have fueled you, then this is your next step. Like this video, subscribe to Sigrhythm, and turn on notifications. Because this is not entertainment, this is war. Every lesson here is a weapon, every word is a shield, every strategy is a step closer to the untouchable state, and every time you return, you sharpen your blade. Becoming untouchable begins now, not tomorrow, not next week, now. The question is, will you remain ordinary, or will you rise above weakness, embrace the cold truth, and seize the throne of your own power? The choice is yours. The path is ruthless. The reward is absolute. Comment it now. I am untouchable. Then live it. Number 10. Legacy of power. Immortality does not come from living forever. It comes from leaving an imprint so deep that time itself cannot erase you. Men die, but their legacy bends history. Power without legacy is dust. Respect without legacy is temporary. To be truly untouchable, you must build beyond yourself. The untouchable man thinks in decades, not days. He does not chase temporary highs because he is writing his name into the stone of time. He does not waste years in mediocrity because he knows life is finite and only the ruthless leave a mark. Machiavelli's words are remembered centuries later because they cut to the bone of truth. Alexander is still studied because his shadow stretched across the earth. Why? Because they did not live as ordinary men. They built legacies of power. Your legacy begins now, not when you are rich, not when you are known, not when you are old. It begins in the way you discipline yourself today, in the standards you enforce, in the alliances you form, in the respect you demand, in the pain you weaponize. Every act of self-command is a stone in the monument you are building, and when you die, that monument will either stand tall or crumble. The choice is in your hands now. Legacy is not about being loved. It is not about being remembered fondly. It is about being remembered undeniably. Loved or hated, admired or feared. What matters is that your presence echoes after you are gone. That is true immortality. That is true power. So here is your final creed, your final command. Write it below, stamp it into your mind, carry it into your blood. My legacy will outlive me. Because when you live by this, every day becomes war against mediocrity. Every choice becomes a brick in your empire. And when the world finally buries you, they will realize they cannot bury your name. Like this video, subscribe to Seires, turn on notifications, not for me, for yourself, because every lesson here is another weapon for your arsenal. And if you keep returning, sharpening, building, and applying, your legacy will be untouchable. This is where your reign begins.